Hello, everyone, and you are listening to Ticket to Life, and I am Henry. And if I sound like a woman, it's probably because I am. My name is Henrie, Henrie, and you can hear podcast number one. Introducing myself, and I have to admit that my Ticket to Life podcast has changed a bit since I first started. But one more thing, I am not a doctor, a therapist, or a life coach, and everything on Ticket to Life are my opinions and my thoughts. And one more thing, all these are pre-recorded. So if something I mentioned sounds outdated, then you know, oh, she pre-recorded it. But anyway, January is, like I have said in past podcasts, is the forgotten month, and we're coming to an end. January is almost over, which is so crazy to me. I cannot get over how fast January just goes every year. So, ta-ta, January. It's been good. I hope everyone is doing well. And so far, your January has been going well also. So, today we're going to talk about chaos in life. So, I'm pretty sure all of us at one time or the other or living right now in a chaotic moment. And when I say chaos, I mean anything in your life, anything that could be happening right now is confusion or disorder or nothing's just going right now. Well, we all know that we are going to be seeing much of this in the White House with President Trump in office. Now, we know that he likes to stir the pot to see if it boils over. I'm just kidding. Well, not really, but sort of. But I wish him well, and I hope good things happen for our country and that we don't get in a chaotic state. And be sure to include our country in your prayers. And if you don't pray, you might want to start. Just a suggestion. Okay, no more political talk if that's political talk because I don't speak politics. I don't know enough about it, but these are my thoughts. So that's all I have on chaos in the White House. But anyway, on to chaos in our life. What is going on in your life or in the news? I don't really like to watch the news unless it is going to affect me or my family. But pretty much, I'm a weather girl. I like to watch the weather. It must be those attractive weathermen. But no, I'm just kidding. But like the weather is especially is in Texas, it changes like a drop of a hat and causes chaos. When I say chaos, I think of how to avoid it sometimes, but it's a bad thing about chaos. You can't avoid it. You can't smell it, you can't feel it, you can't even see it coming. It is just like a pimple that pops right before prom. Bam, it's there. just and just like chaos. And you're in the middle of wondering what just happened? How did I get here? Now, sometimes we don't realize the chaos until we are literally in the middle of a situation, and our anxiousness, we get stress and sense of being out of control. It's just there. And the worst part of it for us is that we feel powerless. We feel like, oh my gosh, what have I done? What happened? And our life may feel as though it is just out of control. And unfortunately, we don't know how to get away from chaos with family and friends, work, or whatever it could be, even church. This could just be one of those moments when you just want to go literally yelling down the street and screaming out, I'm done with everything. But unfortunately, we can't do that because we'll be locked away in the loony bin. Now, little kids can do that, but we can't. The joy of being a child and getting away with doing things like that. Oh, they're young. They're just upset. But if you have a Ring camera, you can watch it later and laugh about yourself going down the street yelling, I'm done with everything, right? Now, for me, it is prayer. I'm all about prayer. And hopefully, if I am feeling anxious and crazy and I have to realize these things are out of my control, but at that point I can't, I hope that God will just slap me silly and make me realize that it could be worse. So many times I do look back and think, how did I even how did I get through whatever chaos I may have been going through? But I did. And a lot of it I do. I thank God for that. And I know you don't want to hear, oh, well, it could be worse because I'm sure people say that to you, but it's not a Job thing. I will tell you that. It is not a Job thing. If you don't know what that is, yes, I have a podcast on that too. It's not a Job thing. Job went through really crazy chaos, but he did it for God. And he came out shining in the end. So, again, I know a lot of us don't want to hear that it could be worse, but it is. It is true when we start looking around. So many times I look back and think about something crazy again, and I'm repeating myself, I know, but there's always a lesson in it. And if you can get a lesson out of some chaos that happened, that's awesome. Learn from it. Have you ever dwelled on some chaotic thing in your life and finally realized and said out loud to yourself, wait, I did survive? So that crazy time, look back and let it go. Why? But then you wonder why. Why do you suppose that you were finally able to move on? I will tell you myself that I know that life is way too short and now it's time to drop things and clear the mind and live in the now. That's what I believe now as I've gotten older. You need to believe in the now. We got to let go of the past. It may not have been easy to get where you are or where I am in my life, but we're able to share our thoughts and you can do this too. And it will make you feel better in that chaotic moment. Speak to someone. And if you have no one to speak to, again, 24/7, God's available. He will listen. Now, remember, you will never, ever, ever be alone when something like this happens. Someone somewhere is going through something that may or may not be exactly what you're going through, but pretty close to this chaos you are living. When things happen in your family, and especially when it's your kids, it seems bad, like really, really bad. And why? Because they're your kids and they should know right from wrong. Unfortunately, many parents or guardians forget it's not about them. Concerned about what people are going to say or think, family, friends, when your kid makes a mistake. Is that your chaos, your child right now? If it is, you got to think back, what is your kid feeling? They came to share a problem with you and you found out, here's an example. Let's say a teen girl is dreading to tell her mom and dad that she's pregnant. Or a teen boy has to tell his mom and dad that they're a father or going to be a father. That sounds familiar to some, doesn't it? Now, that is going to bring chaos into your family. And man, I can only imagine the fear of what will happen next. Not to mention how you have to remember how strong your child was to be able to come and tell you. My thing on that, they're not the first, they're not going to be the last to ever get in this situation. Now, again, this is all my opinion on this. So, why is it not going to just go away? Because you need to help them find a solution. Don't be that parent that says, well, you got yourself into it. What are you going to do? You got to help them. That's why you're the parent. Not too sure why they got in this situation. Of course, they were probably young and in love, but it will make it so much better for them and for you to process this problem and how to handle it. Or the next step in their life for them and you. Communication in family or in any relationship is an important thing. And some parents may say, well, we didn't communicate in my family because I've had friends tell me this. Well, guess what? It's time to turn the table. Let's change the cards, do anything. And start communicating. Not sure if that makes sense, change cards. But anyway, start communicating with your kids early, at an early age, and put down the damn cell phones. Chaos, as I said earlier, can be caused by so many things. And like I said, won't even see it coming. You won't. So if you're going through something like this in your family with your teens, put yourself in their spot and say, "Oh, I would have never have gotten that at that position. I wouldn't have gotten into trouble like them." You know what? Be the parent, help them handle it. Because do you know how scary it is to come and tell your parents something like that? I can't even imagine. So, how do we avoid chaos? Or can you? My opinion, not really, unless you're locked up in a closet somewhere. But you can learn to manage it when it secretly knocks and you answer it thinking, oh, I can deal with chaos. I can deal with chaos. I am not human. I am not human. Yes, some people probably don't think I'm human. I could edit that, but that's funny. I am human. I am not AI. And anyway, so humans, we are all wired different. We are wired to handle life's tribulations. We just are. And it's a matter of how we handle it. Maybe you can and some folks just let all these things slide down their back like the water on a duck. I know that I can't, but I will try. Now, for me, chaos is caused by people, not things, but people. You can blame things such as making a purchase and say, why did I buy this expensive car? You made that choice. The car didn't buy you, you bought the car. So they get in debt and now they're like in chaos because they can't handle their finances. They don't know what to do. So this is why we do need to learn to rate or prioritize the things or mostly important to us as people, our needs and our lives. I asked my good friend Google when I Googled it how to avoid chaos, and Google laughed in my face. Just kidding. But I'm sure if Google thought about it, it probably wanted to laugh in my face. But here's what my friend Google said: 3 things to help through a chaotic time. One, when you get the urge to criticize in the situation, like a teen messing up, well, criticize that situation. Well, we need to really seek that strength. Like, think about it. How did they get here? Was I there to direct them or direct that person or to direct that situation? Could I have helped avoid it? This may sound a little crazy to some of you, but actually, again, conversation, communication is everything. About something we normally become defensive about. You could get really ticked off about it. But who likes to be wrong? Why are you going to blame the other person? If you're in the wrong, you have to man up or woman up. If you are wrong, I know that's really hard for a lot of people to do, but it will help clear chaos in your life when you can admit you're wrong. I have learned if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I may not be happy about it, but I will admit I'm wrong. I shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have done that. Take a deep breath and say, okay, you were right. I was wrong. Now, this chaos was senseless. Now, Google didn't say all of that. I had to add my own 2 cents. But the next thing it said was pay attention. And I will tell you, this is hard. This is a hard one for me. My mind is always wandering in the land of Henrie. And I mean, literally all the time. My mind is going. But it makes sense to pay attention, to try to focus on a critical task first of what the chaos is, right? And then what is that concern about? What caused it? Could I have helped prevent it? Now, we can't help prevent chaos because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But this is why we need to pay attention to our kids' needs, our significant others' needs. And again, communication. And the very last thing that Google had to share with me was to stay flexible. Kind of like the duck. the water rolling down its back. If you've never heard this idiom or expression, is water off a duck's back, meaning something which has no effect on a person. Insults or advice, don't let it bother you. And people can be hateful and nasty. We all know this because I don't know what's going on in our world right now, but people are just rude and angry. And I'm not everyone, but you see it. People bumping into each other, not saying excuse me, just being kind. I mean, if I bump into someone, I'm just like, I am so sorry. I mean, what's it going to hurt to apologize? Oh, I didn't mean to bump your cart. I didn't, and it is at the grocery store. It's the cars. It's just angry. I don't understand. Everyone in the world needs to take a deep breath, and we all need to pray about it. We really do. Now, I will try my best. The next time I am in a chaotic zone in my head, it can't hurt, right? Then I'm going to think, do not criticize and look for the strengths in the problem. If there's any time, just wait. Just wait. Take a deep breath. Again, I'm all about the deep breaths. I really believe in that stuff. Like, whew. But pay attention. That's number 2. Look at what the chaotic situation is. Pay attention. Pay attention. If we paid attention to more things around us and try to keep our minds from wandering, it would be so much better. I literally am not kidding. I have to, it's hard for me to focus. Um, it just is, but I do it. And stay flexible. Think about that duck. Water off the duck's back. My mom used to even say that. You just need to let things go. And if someone calls you a name, you're an adult, walk away. It's a name. It is a name. I am so sorry. They're taking our Christmas lights off if you hear any banging or anything. So um, these may seem like they're silly things, but anything, I'll never do that. But why? Why wouldn't you help yourself and help someone else by doing these things? These are actually, again, these are things to help you in a chaotic situations in life. When they creep up from behind, I will definitely try these. I really will. It can't, again, I'm repeating myself, can't hurt. It never hurts to try something new. You may not agree with it, but it doesn't hurt. Now, there was a guy, and he embraced chaos. Or there is a guy, I guess. He embraces chaos. And the thing is, he was the ultimate embracer of chaos. He preached and he taught and guided and directed many in the midst of his ministry. He accepted everyone. Everyone was allowed to join him with love. No, he wasn't a hippie. He accepted widows and prostitutes, the lepers, the orphans, people that with great need, people who brought drama and stress into his life, and folks who weren't always lovable and didn't even want to accept them or hear him. And he was very kind. And the crazy thing is, he told them to love one another. He loved them. He didn't ask us kindly or say, hey guys, maybe you could, work things out. No, he was straight up and called us to stand up and oppress the oppressed. And he looked at them and said, bring it on. He took in the messy, broken pieces of people and said, behold, I am making all things new. And that's from Revelations 21:5. Now, I'm not sure if he said it or that's what God told him to say. The Father Almighty, the big guy. But anyway, if you are in the middle of some sort of crazy, crazy chaos, some sort of there's no way out, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And you have to know that you will survive this. Now, I would like for all of you to please say a prayer for those of you who pray for California. By the time you hear this, I'm really hoping the fires are under control and they're over. But Many people are commenting about the rich and famous losing their homes, and they'll be fine. They have money. But we need to remember that was their home. It's not that all of those wealthy, they weren't all wealthy that lived there. And as of today, which is January 16th, and I'm sure more by now, over 12,000 structures have been damaged and destroyed today. Um, it's probably more because I looked that up a few days ago. And I think it's devastating. So sad that they have lost their. I mean, think of the chaos they are going through. They have no home because they weren't all rich and famous in that area. And that was out of their control. And it's a sad loss for those who refused to leave their homes and passed away. Now, I'm not judging anyone. They had their reasons. But again, life is short. You can't take things with you. And it would be a great loss to lose your home, but it's a greater loss to lose your life. The loss of a house, I am sure, is devastating. But I don't think people in general know how important they are to be on this planet. We are here for a reason. We may not know what the reason is, hopefully, to do good things. Now, these are, again, just all my thoughts, everything I say. Now, I do need to mention the Golden Globes Awards that were held. And I'm sure many of you have heard this. And the comedian Nikki Glaser was the host. And she made a comment. Now, I didn't watch them, but it was on a news feed. Anyway, and she said, she made a comment about how many people thanked their moms or people they worked with. But no one thanked God for thank God for getting me here. And she said, no surprise in this godless town. 38 hours later, the wind and the fire and all the lost lives began, and homes were gone. Now, that's something to think about. When you can't thank God for something as simple as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because sometimes that's all some people have to eat. And it's just amazing. And some people will go, oh, it was coincidental. Was it? I don't know. You don't mess with God. That's all I've got to say. But he does take the time to welcome you when you're going through the most chaotic time in your life. And I know sometimes this podcast can be goofy and silly, but in my heart, of all hearts, he is there for you, and I believe that. And he can get you through anything. Anything. So, anyway, if you are going through a very chaotic time in your life, I hope that you can do those 3 little things, which they aren't hard to remember. Don't criticize. Let's look for the strength in the problem. Pay attention. Okay, that one might be a little hard for me, but stay flexible. And that is so important to stay flexible. I have to share something with you, and it's funny, but it's not. So, a friend of mine, her son, he has this really cute curly hair. Guess he's 5 or 6, and he butchered his hair. Got some scissors, and he cut his hair. Not real bad, just wanted to do it. And mom saw, like, what have you done? Well, he said, I just wanted to see if I could do it. Well, she called me and she was very upset. And I said, you know what? It's going to grow back. I'm sure you cut your hair. Ask your mom. And I calmed her down. And the mom realized it wasn't that bad of a thing. And that's what when I'm saying we need to thank we need to thank some of this stuff. Like the strength is he did it, he's done because I'm sure she warned him if you ever do this again. It took care of it, took him to the little barber shop and they kind of trimmed it up and she said it looks great. It looks fine now. And he was due for a trim anyway, but just not as short as she was planning. But those are the things when it comes to kids, you just got to be flexible. You got to remember they haven't been on the planet as long as you have been. I have to remind people, look, they've only been on the planet for 5 years. They've only been here for 2 years. They've only been here for 6 months, you know. So be flexible with your kids. Be flexible with people. Now, adults, on the other hand, you can't say that, especially when they're going through a chaotic time. But kind of walk them through that. Let them know it is going to be okay. That reassurance that it's going to be all right. During a divorce, during a new loss of a job or a new baby or anything. Just be flexible. Find the strength in it because, we all have strengths that we don't even realize we have. We could have the strength of laughter, making people laugh, compassion, being empathetic, just listening. I'm a good listener. That's one thing I can do, and unless the topic goes into a direction where I'm lost, then I know I go back into the land of Henrie, and my mind starts going, and I'm going, oh really? Didn't hear a word they said. Please tell me I'm not the only one that does this. But anyway, I hope this helps some of you that are going through a chaotic time to let you know that you're not going through it alone, and I will leave you with all these thoughts. And again, these are my opinions. And I just have to mention, I hope to see you next week. I hope you'll come back and I will be praying for you. And we need to pray for each other. I don't care if we don't know. I don't know you, but I'm praying for you. I'm pulling for you. So I will be praying for you. And please find your blessings because they could be right in front of you. I tell you, every single time. Those blessings can be right in front of us and we don't even acknowledge them, see them. But thank you again for listening. If you want to leave a message, you can leave a message on, it says message me on the description. Some important phone numbers that I like to leave on my description. They're just permanently there. So it's the suicide hotline number. It is the veterans crisis line. But anyway, those are important numbers if you are feeling lost. But anyway, this is Henrie. Thanks again for listening. And until next week, find your blessings, but go choose happy.